Certainly, if you'll join me. Father God, we come to you now and we just thank you and praise you for how wonderful you are. And Lord, we just thank you for the ultimate gift of your Son that you sent for each one of us. We just pray for your presence to fill this room, to guide these board of commissioners and their decisions. And Lord, help us all to do everything that we do to reflect you in our walks, and that we are to remember that we're here to do your business, and help us all to be about the Father's business. Lord, we just thank you for your blessings and for your forgiveness, and we just trust that you're with us, and thank you for all that you're sending our way in terms of moisture. It's in your Son's precious name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of Mexico, the symbol of perfect nation, among cultures.
Item 1, first thing on the agenda, elect a new chair for 2024. Do I hear any nominations? Well, I'll nominate Rob Savage. Any further?
I'll nominate Tina.
Tina Dixon. Any more? Okay,
I move to cease the nominations.
these nominations. All in favor of Tina, say aye.
Aye.
All in favor of Rod? Aye. 3-1.
I thought we're doing this vote. Show of hands so we know exactly who.
Show of hands. All in favor of Tina? 3 votes. All in favor of Rod? 1 vote. Tina is our new chair. We will now switch.
I want to say by Commissioner Criswell.
Kind of evil down here.
Get out there.
Again, Mr. Crystal.
Thank you, Commissioners. Okay, the next item on our agenda is to elect a vice chair for 2024. I'll open the floor for nominations.
I nominate Roy Lee.
I'll nominate Rod.
Any else?
Move nomination cease.
Okay, so we will start with Roy Lee, or no, we'll start with,
Yeah, he's nominated.
he's
first.
nominated first. Roy Lee. So Dennis, how do you vote?
Negative.
Rod?
Yeah.
Yes. Paul?
Yes.
Roy Lee?
No.
For Rod? Dennis?
Yes.
We have to even do it. It's already been done. No.
I already voted for Roy Lee.
We already voted.
Yes for Rod.
Okay. I wanted to give you a chance to vote. Okay. 3-2. Roy Lee, you are the vice chair. Okay. Approval of agenda.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Second.
Okay. Motion and a second to approve agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Yes.
Motion-
Or no. Sorry.
Motion passes. Approval of minutes from December 19th of 23, regular meeting and workshop minutes.
I mean, we approve the minutes as submitted.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Yes.
Motion carries. Approval of accounts payable and payroll from December 1st through December 31st for $692,494.68. Accounts payable from December 1st through December 31st, check number 004743 and 004745. Also 080687 through 080815. Total amount of checks is $757,502.59. Total amount of drafts is $232,964.82. I move to approve, or I make a motion to approve.
I move we approve the payroll
I'll second.
payable.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Informational items. We move on to Jody Diaz, the update from the Roosevelt County Community Development Corporation.
Good morning. Just go. We don't have it, yeah. Okay. Good morning, commissioners. Thank you for having me here this morning. I'm just giving a Q2 update or biannual update. So there is a presentation, but we'll skip through it. So our board members, a little of this is going to be redundant, as was my last report. Our staff members have not changed. We still have Mr. Segovia as our president, Ms. Hamilton, Megan Hamilton is our vice president, and Bruce Nexon is our secretary. And then we do still have Ms. Tina Dixon that sits on for Roosevelt County, and our other board members have not changed at this point. So I'll just kind of go past that. Some Q2 results. So we still have 3 continued prospects that we are working with to move into Portales, Roosevelt County. We had 2 LEDA applications that were approved. Can you guys hear me okay? I'm standing right. 2 LEDA applications that were just approved. One was for Enchantment Vineyards for the expansion of their facility and production. They also are working with the state of New Mexico for a state LEDA as well. And then we had the Roosevelt County Electric Co-op. They received the old City Hall building that they have plans to put in parking spaces, electric charging stations. I didn't bring the whole packet with me, but they have some additional upgrades that they're going to be making once they demolish that building. So those were the 2 most recent LEDA grants that we had that went through. We do have 6 LEDA projects that are in the pipeline, and saying they're in the pipeline, it is someone through a business organization that has come to us and asked for a LEDA application and have started working on it. We have started our fundraising for the 23-24 fiscal year. We had our annual appreciation banquet back in November. At that banquet, we also decided that we would like to do some more facade grant programs if we could. And so we had a live auction at the donor banquet and raised an additional $3,000 to put back into to our local businesses. So with the donor appreciation, we also kicked off our new season of fundraising. And so letters were sent out, and then I've been trying to contact a few people I've gone in to try to see personally, and just kind of, we would like to have, as we are a nonprofit, we would like to try to increase some of our fundraising over the fiscal year. In late November, beginning of December, we did attend the Civic Leaders Tour with Cannon Air Force Base. That was about a 4-day trip, 3 different bases that we went to see different initiatives in various places. So we went to Del Rio, Texas, San Antonio, and then Montgomery, Alabama. Still continuing our business retention and expansion site visits. There are, I would like to say,
we're going to get some more here in the spring. I know with the holidays, it might have slowed it up just a little bit. So we're still working on those. In our fundraising campaign. So I did put out, I think on our social media, and then also we did like a press release on our donor appreciation banquet. So we do thank everybody that participated and came to our banquet. Our facade program, if you remember from the last update I gave, we had $20,000 that the board voted to put into a facade program that went to any business within Roosevelt County. So we did give out 13 businesses were awarded the grant. There are a few that have not fulfilled the requirements just yet, but they do have a year time frame to complete that. So we've got a few out that we'll have till later this spring to finish that up. If they do not use the funds, that will just revolve right back into the fund and can be dispersed to another business. Are we still not in the, okay. Sorry, I do have a little presentation. I can email this to you all if you'd like to look through some of the slides that we had. So continuing our efforts for recruitment, expansion, and then also some of our programs that we can offer. I have a few projects that are going to be community involvement projects. I hope that maybe come February, we can discuss those a little bit further. Right now, they're still in the pre-funding stages. And then they're also, last year I had worked with Portales Schools on a T-Mobile grant. That is back open again for another quarter. So and it is a community grant. So anybody, if it doesn't have to be Portales Schools, ENMU, county, city, we can work together to try to write that grant, and we can go after those funds again as well. So those are some things we're working on here in 2024. If anybody has any questions.
Thank you, Jody.
Yeah, sorry you didn't get to see the pictures, but we can email them over.
I forwarded them out.
Oh, good. Well, maybe you already had them. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on. Public requests. Anybody in the public have anything to say? Okay. Elected officials, detention. Shayla Ramsey, presentation of the FY24 second quarter restrictive housing report.
Well, I'm going to give you my monthly report first, but good morning. So our facility count this morning is at 64. We have 15 females and 49 males. We have 36 out-of-county detainees. For the month of December, we billed Quay $100,019,375. Chavez was $3,875. For our MAT program, we have 13 in group, 13 in individual, 3 on medications. We have 4 in GED, and we have 13 in our yoga classes. And then our parenting classes will start again at the end of the month. We don't have a count yet because we haven't started yet. I also did a 100-day stay or more for you guys for detainees that are with us for a long period of time. So right now, I'm going to start at the longest, and then we'll go down. So I have one detainee that's been with us for 591 days. He is scheduled for court in February. We have another detainee that's been with us for 423 days. He's also scheduled for court in February. 387 days, and he was sentenced on 12/6 of 23, and he's sentenced to RCDC for 5 months. We have another one that's 353 days. Scheduled for court later this month. 209, we have pending charges for this one. He is going back and forth through Roosevelt and Curry, so he's going back and forth. So we don't really have a release or court scheduling or anything like that because he's so many times transferred back and forth right now. We'll get a better idea probably in the next month. We have another one that's been with us for 196 days. That one has been sentenced to DOC, and we're waiting on that transfer. We have another one that was 123 days. He just signed, he has a plea and disposition hearing, and he just signed his plea. So he has to go before the court again, let them know that he's signed and all those things and things that him and his attorney need to talk about. We have another one for 122 days. He was sentenced for 364 days at RCDC. So his projected release date is going to be November of 24. 116 days. He's been set for competency. So that's really to see if he can continue the court processing. So he'll be scheduled for that later on this month. We have another one that was returned to us. He's been with us 114 days. He returned for us for a docket call. And when he's done, he'll return back to DOC. I stand for any questions on that.
So when you were talking about some of those that they had been in there, like the one that you said he'd been in there for over a year and then was just sentenced to 5 months.
Yes.
So he just got sentenced to that 5 months.
Yes.
So we're
So
gonna have him a whole nother.
5 more months. Yes.
Wow.
So some of these are going to court and they're representing themselves, and that takes longer when they're fighting for themselves and you know, they don't want to hire attorneys, they can afford an attorney, all those things. So, I mean, it's a process for each individual, really. Everybody's different, so.
And is there, Madam Chair, members of the board, are we still asking DOC to expedite the transfers to get them out as soon as they're sentenced to DOC?
So DOC does not transfer people.
Well, you know what I'm saying.
Right.
Can we expedite the transfer once they're sentenced to?
Once they're sentenced, we try to move them as fast as we can.
Because then it becomes their, not problem, but liability, money-wise and everything else.
Right. So once they're once they're sentenced, we try to get them out as fast as we can. And that's, you know, we work very closely with SO to get those guys transferred out.
Okay, and the inmate that's 364 days, are they still doing that? The judge is doing 364 since our limit to have them in there is 365 days?
Yes.
Okay, I'm not gonna say is that with well intent or bad intent, but is that a common practice? Because
It is a common practice. Yes, sir. So once these guys, and one thing that's great for us, and I'll explain it a little bit to you guys. One thing that's great for the detention center, when they are sentenced to us, if they're not sentenced on violent charges or anything like that, they can file for good time. So if they're on a work detail or anything like that, once they hit their 50% of time served, they can file for good time, and we can take that to the judge, and they have to only spend about 75% of that inside the jail. Any other questions? Okay, so I'll move on to the quarterly report for restrictive housing. So December 31st, this was between October and December of 23. We have 0 for restricted housing. I stand for any questions.
Okay. Thank you, Shayla.
Thank you.
Moving on to elected official. Oh, we are on that. Healthcare, Carla Weems.
Good morning, Commissioners. I come with you with our healthcare. We had total claims of 8 at $9,813.60.
Ms. Carla, you need to wait just a second. They need to go into the board.
Right. I
I'm
didn't
sorry,
see
I forgot that.
I didn't see that on the agenda though. So it needs to be put on the agenda that we go into indigent.
It's there. It's for Healthcare Assistance Board meeting
Yeah, but-
underneath.
Doesn't say.
Yes,
indigent,
it doesn't
but
say
it's-
indigent for us to go in. So Madam Chair, members of the board, I move to go into indigent meeting.
Okay. I got a motion. Do we need a second?
Oh, say it.
Okay, second. Okay, got a motion, and a second. Roy Lee?
Do we need to amend the agenda
No.
to do this, to go into indigent since it's not listed on the agenda?
It's listed on the agenda as
That's what-
healthcare assistance board meeting. Here,
Is it board meeting?
This just means going to.
How do you
It's just
vote?
never been listed like that before. So
I would prefer for it to remain the same status quo as it's been since I was commissioner way back in 2000. That way we can all be aware that we need to go into indigent. And not that we're naive or anything, but don't change something if it's not broken.
well, I'm being pretty naive because I didn't know.
No. What
And
I'm.
if it's been
Exactly.
indigent on the agenda, it needs to stay indigent on the agenda
That's
instead
my
of changing the name of it.
I agree.
So I want to make the motion of amending the agenda before we go in there.
I'll second.
Got a motion, and a second to amend the agenda. Roy Lee?
Aye.
Paul?
No.
Yes,
Yes.
motion carries. Okay, so now, does your motion and second stand on moving into
Yes.
indigent? Okay. Dennis, how do you vote?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
Yes.
we're in indigent. Now you can go, Carla. Sorry.
Okay. All right. We had total claims of 8 for $9,813.60. We had total approved of 1 for $211.60. We denied 7 claims at $9,602. We had 4 claims with Fedco emergency room physicians. We approved 1 at $211.60. We denied 3 at $3,776. 2 of the claims were due to they were not patients at the date of service, and 1 it would belong to another county. RGH, we had 2 claims. We approved 0 and denied 2 for the reason that they were detainees from another county. Concord Radiology, we had 2 claims. We approved 0 and denied 2. 1 patient was not a detainee at the time of service, and the other one was another county detainee. I'll stand for any questions.
Do I hear a motion to come out of indigent?
So moved. Second.
Dennis?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
Yes.
you're out of indigent.
With that, Madam Chair, I move to approve the healthcare presentation as presented by Carter Weems.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to road department. Juan,
Madam Chair, Mr. Dominguez isn't able to attend today, so he asked that I give his presentation and take any notes needed.
okay.
Just an update on where everyone is. There is still a cattle guard crew out working. They've got all the guards, for the most part, that have been on the list cleaned out. They are working to rebuild some guards. Come across several on 41 that were needing a lot of repairs. So there is a couple in the shop working on those repairs and constructing some new ones. As far as the blades, we have one west of Elida. We have one out in the Causey area. One's near Toller. We have one working south of Portales, as one over west at Sundale Valley, and one northeast of Portales. So we're working around all of the regular maintenance schedules. We do have one crew that is continuing to build roads. They're still on South Roosevelt Road 20, and they are hauling that one out. Other than that, I would stand for any questions and ask if there's any new road concerns or cattle guards to be added to either of the lists.
Mrs. Hamilton, I checked out 8. They've done a lot of work on potholes and really improved it. It's a never-ending process. There's more opening up every day. I mean, it's something that requires regular. I think you probably have to hire a single person that's his job to fill potholes on 8. But they did improve it, but still.
Can you send that person to Portales?
And I appreciate the work done on A from Arch Highway over to 202. Drove that, looks good. There's spots in it. There's nothing to be done. It's real sandy, but appreciate the blade work there.
I'll pass that along. Thank you, Commissioner.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Wanted to report that there's a culvert on Sundale Valley that's trying to cave a little. That may need some attention.
Budley, do you have any?
Yes. I've got a question. Why are we still picking and choosing what roads are bladed? And they're roading the blades down county roads without blading them, and then they'll hit a mile and blade. Why are we doing that?
I would just need to know what specific area you're looking at. They all have assigned blade routes, and so Mr. Dominguez has the team assigned, and they're out working on those. But if you have a certain instance or a day that you've seen that happen or an area, we can go back and look at the tracking report and see on the GPS what really is laying out.
Week before last, there was a mile stretch, County Road 23. And I believe that would be from R to S. Maybe S to T anyway. That was 1 mile that was done. And then there was a 3-mile stretch off of 16, off of 206, going east to P. That road was bladed recently, like last week, sometime last week, that road was bladed. And there's no other roads around them that's been bladed, especially the one on 23. Down there, there was not any other county roads that was bladed at all. And I drove up there on it, and like I said, it would really surprise me. And you can see where the blade, and I've got pictures on my phone, but anyway, I leave my phone in the pickup during these meetings. But anyway, I do have the pictures of both of them. But I'm just curious why they're doing that.
That's something we'll definitely have to look into. The one last week from 16 actually had to go move over to State Line because that's the one that we had an emergency at in terms of deliveries not being able to make it. That was the closest blade. So he went ahead and moved Caesar back up there. He's back down. And as of this morning, he was actually over on 18. So he's back in that area. So sometimes we do have to relocate him to go take care of some maintenance
This morning
issues
he
that
was
are
blading
reported.
15, I believe it was.
And that may be where he
On
just
my
sent
way
me
up
a
here,
shot.
he's blading 15.
Yes, 15
off of
east of
206.
6. So coming from 16 to 15, working his way back into town and around, they just have assigned blade districts. But I'm made some notes and I'm happy to look into that, sir.
So how that one blade, does he not just start north and go south and blade every road? Or is he, like I say, why is he picking and choosing what roads they're blading?
That's something I'll have to look at and talk with Mr. Dominguez to see what the schedule is. Like I say, I know that we moved at that blade to take care of an 8-mile stretch that needed to be done right then. And as maintenance comes up, but each road is supposed to be part of what is in there. So we'll just need to look at the schedule and look at the GPS routes. So we'll look into that and report back.
And then several complaints about when they're blading in front of houses, that these houses are on these county roads, they're not picking those blades up, they're just leaving a ridge. And people are having to jump that ridge to get into their driveways or into the pastures. And I've been getting lots of complaints from the east to west, north to south in that district down there. All these ranchers and farmers complain, especially if they live on a county road. These guys they'll just blade right through there. And they're leaving a big hump. And most of the time, there's always a bunch of rocks right there in that hump. And I know that's been a complaint for the last 20 years. And we still cannot get it corrected. But anyway, and then since we're talking about the roads on our road ICIP meeting, you told me to get my roads down. You want them now or later?
We can grab those afterwards.
Okay. All right. Anyway, that's all I have.
Yep. Moving on. Manager, Ms. Hamilton.
Okay. Sorry, switching folders. Okay, good morning again, Madam Chair and Commissioners. So just a few to update. First, on the aging and long-term services request, Carol and Carla are continuing to work through this. They had a small pot of emergency money, but it was only enough to construct a fence and not enough to construct the building itself that the La Casa was needing for their vehicles. So they are working to reestablish the senior center on the Aging and Long-Term Services ICIP plan. That is something that the entity had done in the past, La Casa had, but we're working with them to get them reestablished, and we will work to include the building that they are needing and the ADA door access into the facility. Let's see, so that takes care of that one. The educational classes, so we were awarded a couple of grants. In the focus was law enforcement and first responders, as well as mental health practitioners. As you will recall, over the past about 12 months or so, we have offered numerous classes. So we did Calming the Crisis, both basic and advanced. We did 2 mental health crisis communication classes for providers during the summer to help them with their CEUs. We did a mental health mini symposium. We did that twice, both in Portales and Clovis. We also offered CIT advanced and basic for law enforcement and detention and first responders classes. And we have 2 additional classes that are coming up to wrap out the grant activities. And Matt, our MAT program at RCDC, has taken the lead on that and offering a Narcan class. We'll begin advertising that. We have officials come in from the state, and that's something that our law enforcement officials in the area are needing to get their certifications and their biennium training. So we will open that up. And then we also are going to offer the peer support, which is the last class that the local law enforcement entities asked. And these are things that we're providing for both Curry, Roosevelt, Clovis, Portales. We open it up for everyone in the region, ENMU and such. So we have that taken care of. Y'all have all seen the public notice that went out for the dates. We do have our winter conference next week, January 16th through the 18th. We have our annual chamber banquet on January 25th. So if you plan to attend, please make note of that. We can get a table for that if you'd like to take your spouse. I believe the tickets are $40 for those. So those are all things that we can arrange. And you can let us know if you do want to take your spouse and want us to get the tables, we can invoice you for the difference of their ticket. We have the January 29th Legislative Appreciation Dinner on January 29th in Santa Fe. I also need to know who is able to attend that. Don't have to do it right now. If you can check your calendars and let us know, that's on a Monday. And that will be at Hotel Santa Fe, and that's the Curry Clovis Legislative Appreciation Day. So those are all things that I can follow up with you on. And then just a quick little update on the session. So it opens on the 16th at noon, and it will end the 15th of February at noon. And to date, as of this morning before things started, there are 107 pre-filed bills, 55 total in the House and 52 in the Senate. So if that's any indication of what we are looking at, it will be a very active, short session with all of those bill works. There was some repairs and updates done to the sound system in here. Hopefully y'all have all noticed better sound. There was some things that we lost with the electrical power outages and such that Chase was able to repair and enhance, and he put in some new equipment as well. The training room renovations at the Kakawade room are expected to be complete by the end of the month, and we're looking at actually holding a couple of these final 2 trainings there, as well as we'll offer them in Clovis or Curry County. The last thing, well, one of the last things that we're looking at is we will need to have a special meeting on either January 25th or 26th. That's a Thursday or a Friday. I just need to know when we can have a quorum here. The insurance deductibles were just sent out last night, so we could not include them on this agenda, and our next meeting isn't until February, and they're needing those deductible amounts prior to. We will see increases in our multi-line insurance as expected and projected, as we've discussed, and law enforcement is continuing to go up because of the penetration that we've experienced with our reinsurance. So we're looking at another 20% increase in law enforcement insurance coverages. So all of that, if you can let me know, check your calendars and see when would work best, either Thursday, the 25th or the 26th for a special meeting. That would be great. And I think other than that, I will stand for any questions.
Isn't the chamber banquet the one that's on the 25th?
Yes, it is the chamber banquet. It'll be held at ENMU.
And you don't need to know the special meeting now, or do you want to decide now?
Either way, whatever works best for everyone.
Does anybody have a preference on the 25th or 26th?
I'll be gone.
Yes.
Right, Commissioner Greider? What time do we leave?
You're exactly right.
Would you say the 25th or 26th?
Yes, sir.
What day do y'all leave, the 25th?
Whatever. Whatever. I'm good either day.
You just need 3 of us anyway, so. And there's no way y'all can do it on the 25th, even early in the morning, or? Yeah,
Hey, can you-
yeah, you'll have to be focused. Okay, so you go ahead and what do you want? Do you have a preference?
Tell me where to be when.
You said which one, either one?
Yeah, but
I don't care. Either one works for me too. You want to just do it the 25th and,
fine.
okay. How about the 25th? What time do you want to do it?
9 a.m. sounds great.
Okay.
You guys wouldn't want to do it closer to the chamber banquet since Commissioner Criswell and Commissioner Dixon have to travel into town?
I'll be up going through here. Well,
It doesn't matter.
I'm busy that day, so it don't matter. Like I say, I'd rather do it in the morning.
Do you want to, would
First
you want to
thing.
do it the 26th?
25th's fine.
25th at 9 a.m. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, moving on. Commissioners. Commissioner comments? Anybody have
You want
anything?
me to start
I don't care.
this way?
Go ahead.
Yes, to the, no, not really. I'm going to discuss something that's of sensitive nature in a way, in my opinion. The last couple of days, I really gave some thought as to an agenda item under the public request item that was mentioned. And I know that Commissioner Greider Mr. Chairman Greider at our past meeting was put in a really bad predicament as to having to decide whether he was to read a letter in public in reference to an individual that had written it for it to be put in public. I am guilty with the fact that I stated to Commissioner Greider that it should be under the discretion of the commission chairman. And like I say, I'm guilty because I think that I was wrong in saying that because of the fact that I didn't know what was the content of that letter. If I would have known, I would have retracted my recommendation only because of the sensitive nature where it involved fellow commissioners. I would have requested for all parties that were involved to present the issue to all 5 board of commissioners, like everybody else does that is under public request. So, I hate to assume, and that day I assumed that it was going to be maybe a letter of commending us for the good job we're doing, or maybe scrutinizing, whatever it may be. But I thought it's usually addressed to all 5 board commissioners. But I felt like if I was blindsided after the fact, and like I said, I just thought about this 2 days ago, and I gave it real deep thought. And with my experience and education and everything I've been through, I've been scrutinized before many a times. We're in this position, this county commission positions, we signed up for it, and we know we're going to get scrutinized. That's part of it. But we're also human beings, and whenever you're personally attacked within the public, I wish that I would have had I wish I would have had insight before the fact, and I would have taken it upon myself to recommend that all parties involved be here in person, that everybody else is during public request. So I want to apologize, and I don't even know if it warrants this, but I want to apologize to Commissioner Greider for me telling him my opinion, my recommendation that it was under his discretion. I want to apologize to my fellow commissioners that were scrutinized. I think it's unfair. If I would have known that I could have addressed this issue under the commission line item, more than likely I would have. Good, bad, or indifferent, wrong or right, that doesn't matter to me. The fact of the matter is they were put on blast, and politically we cannot personalize, but it's hard not to. And so with that, I want to highly, highly recommend for the future that if something of this sensitive nature comes on, that each and every commissioner is exposed to the information, whether it be by letter, by email, or whatever. And then we can, as a board, make an informed decision as to what we recommend to go forth with this subject matter. So with that, that would be my recommendation. And I know now I'm down to 11 months, so you guys are going to have to put up with me for 11 more months. But with that, I just want to say that we should reconsider how we go about that. And I do want to apologize to Commissioner Greider because I did state that it should be under his discretion, but I had no idea what the subject matter was going to be all about. And with that, I'll go to my second thing. Amber, since I have not been on county travel business in a while for a lot of different reasons, can you give me an update on the per diem mileage, everything? I mean, just the whole, we could have done it one-on-one, but I'd rather it be public knowledge, like Santa Fe trip, daily allowances, how we work the hotel, and all that good stuff.
Yes, sir. So Commissioner, the hotel has already been reserved and you should have your email confirmations. If you want them, if they need to be resent, you can just let us know and we'll forward those again. So those have already been booked and those are on the county credit card. That takes care of room and tax. Any incidentals are your responsibility within the room. In the travel and per diem policy, I believe it's a percentage of, and I don't want to quote it wrong because I don't have the policy right here in front of me, so I can send that out to all of you for the travel and per diem, but it's a percentage of the federal mileage reimbursement rate if you take your own ride. There are several of us that are going up and that are coming back. So I know you had mentioned maybe needing a ride back Thursday, so we've got several vehicles that are coming back Thursday that we can do that with. And then the daily allowance on meals, I need to look at as well and send it to you because
Okay.
I don't want to give you the wrong information. It's in the policy
Okay, so
and it was just
'cause I'm going to
updated
be there
recently.
Monday, and I was just wondering, I don't know if I'm going to be able to go with you or just meet you guys up there. I just need clarification. Like I said, it's been since pre-COVID that I've done these county trips. The ones that I did do, I did out of pocket. But anyway, thank you. Thirdly, I'd like my fellow commissioners to know that as a county commissioner, I am the city county commissioner. All my district lies within the city. The city is depleting in a lot of different ways, and I don't know if the city will agree with me or all city folk will agree with me on what my initiative is going to be at this legislative session, but I do plan on truly advocating on behalf of the city as well to bring some type of capital outlay infrastructure monies to them. We've gotten to the point where there's needs at every single department, starting with the streets and everything else. If you guys drive around town, I don't need to explain or go into detail how they're depleting. So just as an FYI, I will be advocating on behalf of the city as well while we're there during the session. City is the county is the city. So we're all here in one, and holds a special place in my heart. So just FYI. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Amber.
First, I'd like to say, I guess Commissioner Lopez must have been reading my mind to some extent on the comments that were made last week through the letter. I think that Mr. Greider, as chairman, has done an outstanding job. In my mind, he's fair and impartial and does the very best he can. I think his heart's in the right place and has done an outstanding job. Moving forward, I think that letter was in violation of the ethics ordinance because it was a direct attack on people's, certain people pointed out. It attacked their character. And whether or not we're doing it through the form of a letter or through the open public meeting in that, where we're, we have item 7, public requests, whether it comes there or whatever. I think moving forward, the chairman's job is to, I think it's specifically describes in that ethics ordinance that no personal attacks on people's character can be allowed. So, but once that thing was read and cat's out of the bag, it's too late to say anything. And like I said, I think that Commissioner Greider has always been fair and impartial and done a good job. I think it could have been handled differently, but just need to be aware of that moving forward. And I agree with Mr. Lopez that attacks on people's commissioners' character shouldn't be allowed, whether written or in public comment. Thank you.
Mr. Carter, do you have anything? Willie, do you have anything?
No, I ain't got nothing nice to say, so anyway, let's move on.
Okay. I would like to say thank you to both you for your words. I do appreciate that. I'm not going to talk about it a lot, but I do appreciate both of you speaking up. That means a lot. So thank you. Okay. Item 9, new business. Commission may take action on any of these. Discussion and consideration of allocation of federal funds to support Roosevelt County Development Co-op Facade Grant Program and Economic Development Software. Ms. Hamilton and Ms. Diaz.
Yes, Madam Chair, Commissioners. So we do have the federal funds that were allocated through the LATCF type funds. It's the Local Assistance and Travel Consistency Fund. We utilized those last year for our strategic planning and some of the work over at the food bank. After attending the December meeting, I think for the economic development, there were a couple of things that were shared. So Ms. Diaz highlighted the success of the facade grant and the number of businesses that were able to use that for new signage or the front entrance improvement, welcome in. And of course, we know how important economic development is here in Roosevelt County and Portales. And it was one of those that we could potentially look at allocating funds to help support the monies that were raised by their annual fundraiser. I think they got in just shy of about $3,000. We could look at about $12,000 to match that for the facade grant, and that would provide about $15,000 total for Ms. Diaz and her organization to work with. The other chunk of the LATCF. So some of this has already been allocated by the solar feasibility study that y'all approved at a meeting at the end of last year. So the other part that she expressed some need for is software. So software to be able to run the daily counts, to compile information, to help with both, again, business recruitment and retention, to be able to talk about traffic, anything that we're losing. I think the last time that we had this done was in 2021 with the Retail Strategies Group, and this would be something that she would be able to utilize. And I think it was presented to the board that it was about $6,000. So the total allocation would be $18,000 of the LATCF. It would help us take care of expending the remainder of those. The economic development is very much a possibility of what the awarded funds can be used to cover, and that is our administrative recommendation. I know Ms. Diaz has a lot more information on the software and such. If y'all have any kind of questions on it, it's just our recommendation to go ahead and have this expended and support those because there are still businesses in need of and willing to participate in that facade grant. We think that's a great way to actually utilize those funds. This is separate from the ARPA funds. This is that little pocket of money. They sent $50,000 in fiscal year 23 and another $50,000 in 24. And obviously, we would both stand for any questions.
Anybody have anything?
I move to approve agenda item 9A as presented by our county manager.
Second.
I got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jody. Good job. 9B, request for approval to add both chair and vice chair as authorized signatory officials for bank accounts with JP Stone Community Bank, with authorizing to sign checks or orders for the payment of money withdrawal or transfer funds or deposit with financial institutions. If financial institution accepts this power with multiple signature limitation, domestic government unit agrees to waive multiple signature requirements for any withdrawal in format that does not allow financial institutions an opportunity to examine signatures and number of signatures required. 2.
I move for adoption. 9B.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 9C, discussion and possible action to approve 2024 Roosevelt County Committee assignments. Yeah, Ms. Hamilton and Commissioners.
Yes, Madam Commissioner, or Madam Chair, Commissioners, this was included in your packet, and I did make the adjustments, I believe, to the best of my ability that we noted in the workshop. We did add Cannon Community Partnership Initiative / PMAP there, and that was worked in, and then we updated, and we do have one new alternate for the Board of Ethics as provided by Mr. Greider. And other than that, I think the other notations, SERPTO for Mr. Dominguez and Mr. Sanchez are both in there. So I would stand for any questions or if we need any further edits.
Madam Chair, Amber, I've got a quick question. I had to depart that meeting for personal reasons. And I was not able to find the pack. I'm sure it's there, but I haven't seen. What committees was I assigned to?
So you remained on the same committees that you were to my
So I'm still with
Yes.
the BNSF, right?
BNSF, the Chamber Board.
Am I on the actual board of the chamber or alternate? And I apologize, fellow commissioners, for not, I should have asked this way before this meeting.
You're listed there underneath Victoria. So if you want to make that switch, you just tell me what edits we need to do. And then the other one is the Local Growth Management Committee. And then, of course, the standard ones, the finance, the land use, that you're standard members of.
I guess we can keep it the same. I was considering one to be the full-blown chamber board member, but I'll let Victoria continue doing that. And I can just act as a proxy as needed. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Hamilton, one of those, and I can't tell you which one it was, but I was reading that it was changed to Canon, some kind of support.
Is it the LGMC?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, yes, sir.
I would like to be put on that if it's,
Okay, that's a great point. And we can discuss that as it ties in to that because it'll be a later agenda item. So it is the Local Growth Management Committee, and the city of Clovis and Curry County have considered, y'all have the Second Amendment to the Memorandum of Agreement, and they are looking to repurpose that and rename it to where it focuses on the Armed Services Support Committee to more adequately reflect the work that they are doing. So currently in Local Growth Management, we have Roy Lee Criswell and Dennis Lopez. So
And
would one of y'all be willing to
I'm
trade
willing
out?
to not trade out. I can just, if Commissioner Greider wishes to attend that. I was part of that group during the
Mhm.
BRAC when we were very, very, very active. Since then, they really haven't, but
Correct.
they're wanting to rejuvenate it again. So
Yes, sir.
since it's my last year, yes, I would love for Commissioner Greider to take over.
Just
Since he's got a lot of vested, that's within his district with the,
pull me out, and put Grider in.
no, I want out.
Put me where I'm needed. So
Well, I have to deal with them anyway, so.
I was thinking, say, if anybody needs to deal with them, it's you. You're amongst them.
Is that it? Okay, so
One more thing, Madam Chair, with the BNSF, do we have any issues? Do y'all, or if y'all have any issues within the county where we need to address it with BNSF, please reach out to me. There's been a lot of, or a handful of individuals from the county who have had a lot of things to address, and I've addressed it with Commissioner Greider. We've gotten everything taken care of in most part, but I still have my warm contacts with BNSF. So if you guys have any issues with any of the crossings or anything else, please just reach out. And then I deal within the city as well, so thank you.
so do we want to approve the committee assignments?
So moved, Madam Chair, to approve agenda item 9C.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Uh,
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, item 9D, discussion of changing meeting times. Commissioner Criswell.
I've had several constituents throughout the year, and they have come to me wanting to see if we can't move one meeting a month at least to in the evening when they can attend, instead of being during the morning when everybody's at work. And like I say, a lot of them are school teachers and even personnel with the county that can't be here, that are working, that are on the job. And so I know, I don't think it's ever happened except for the one special meeting that we had, last January, I guess a year ago today, we had that meeting at night, and where the public could attend. And I know a lot of public would like to come and voice their concerns about us and to us about the county. And since we work for them, I think there's no other way than we need to see if we can't be accommodating to them just a little bit. So with that being said, I don't know how y'all feel. That's how I feel. I'd like to have at least one meeting a month held in the evening. And I know some months we have two. I know some months we only have one meeting, and that's fine. But the months that we do have two meetings, I'd like to have one of them at night, where we can get more constituents to be, that want to be involved, that can be here in the evenings. I know school systems are our biggest, or I feel like they're the biggest employment in the county, whether it be the college and the public school system. And there, a lot of those constituents are with the school. And so I'd like to make a motion to see if we can't put a meeting in the evening.
But before, I'd like to have a little bit of discussion
Oh, that's
before we do that.
Oh, that's fine.
You said it's never been tried before, but yes, it has.
Okay.
David Sanders and Gene Creighton was on the board with me back when. We had this same discussion come up. So we decided to try it.
Yeah.
And there were several meetings that nobody ever
Nobody
showed
there.
up. But it still put, and would continue to put, the people of the county that has to participate in the meeting, possibly a lot of overtime, or possibly missing their kids, grandkids' ball games if they attended. So I don't know, it's something that we really ought to consider instead of jumping into it.
No, I agree.
Madam Chairman, did Commissioner Crystal present a motion?
He did.
I'll second his motion.
Okay, I got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Okay. That motion
I'm
second.
sorry, Madam Chair. I want some discussion just to, since I've been familiar with this topic. Well, it came up in 2000, in 2008 when I was a commissioner. There was a lot of different reasons why it was not passed. I was not serving whenever Commissioner Creighton and Greider addressed this issue. I think my dad was in the commission. It's been addressed a few times through Commissioner Lee and a couple of other commissions since the 7 years I've been here. I've always been open. I live in the city, so I've always been open to try anything new, but I also think that I like when precedents are set. So I'm going to base my vote on that.
Okay. And I would like to say, I've also had several constituents request that we have at least one at night. And again, most of them have been school teachers, things like that. They've also said, they can't even run for commission because they work during the day or whatever. So it's not convenient. So if we was to try and do a year with, the ones that we have 2 meetings a month at night, and try that for a year and see how it works out. See if it does bring in the public. See if people do show up. Because, I just think that it would be better for us to lay that out there for the public and give them the option to attend rather than just not be able to do the work.
Can we, I like that. Can we do it contingent upon 1 year of trial base and then bring it up next year to see, and then you guys, I think I would be willing to do that. Because if it's a change, that would be a good change, then it could be permanent. If not, if it doesn't pan out, then you guys have discretion to change it next January.
Do you want to modify your motion to that or no?
We can't, if with these modified, yes. If I need to amend the motion, whatever, we amend it to have one meeting per month and for 1 year.
Okay.
If that's what it is.
Yeah.
Fine.
So the motion before me is 1 meeting a month in the evening, the other meeting in the daytime for the year of 2024. And at which time next year, when we redo this in January, we can bring it back in January to see how it went.
Can I make another point real quick, Madam Chair? There was a lot of negative with COVID, but there was also a lot of positive, and I know there's been a lot of concern having them in the evenings, especially with folks coming from outside of the city. But we're privy to technology now. So let's say, for instance, I was caught up in a snowstorm, I could at least zoom in and still partake in the meeting, even if it's after hours. So I'd like the record to reflect that.
Okay.
Madam, if we need to set a time doing this, I would also like to put 6 o'clock as a meeting time, if we need to set a time for this,
Okay.
6 o'clock in the evening. That way everybody can, that has an 8 to 5 job.
Sense. What day?
Same day.
Or what are we going to conflict with?
Well, I
You
would
say like, we will have it on, instead of having it 9 o'clock this morning, we'll have it 6 o'clock tonight.
Yes.
Kind of like
The
city.
same meeting, the dates, we've already passed the meeting dates, right? We've already passed the schedule as a board. And so only thing we're doing now is just
Change the time.
changing the
Okay,
meeting time
understand.
of 1 month, one meeting a month.
But are we on the same schedule with Portales City Council?
Often, but not so often anymore because I follow because Dad's city councilman. But we used to be right on point, first and third Tuesday, but now it's staggered. We haven't been on the same schedule for a minute now. So
Okay.
Yeah, it just depends on when they're moved around for the different things. So
Yeah.
the first one would be in March.
for instance, I don't have a meeting tonight.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. So let me get the motion straight again. So the motion is to move 1 meeting a month on the same day, but at 6 p.m. each month, with any months that have 2 meetings in them. So is it the first meeting or the second meeting of the month?
I'd make it the second meeting.
Okay, the second meeting of the month.
It's already on this agenda when our next meeting is going to be. So
Yes.
Starting in February.
don't change that one.
because there's only one in February anyway. So it wouldn't change that anyway. So it'd be March.
Okay.
So it'll begin in March, the second meeting in March. Okay. All right, I have a motion and a second. Dennis?
Yes.
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 No.
Yes.
Motion passes. Okay, moving on. 10, resolutions, ordinances, and proclamations. 10A, consideration of resolution 2024-01, compliance with the New Mexico Open Meetings Act.
Yes, Madam Chair, Commissioners, so this was included in your packet. This is a standard one, but I would call your attention to the next to last page. Following the discussion that y'all had, the changes have been made to allow all members of the public to be able to attend and listen to the meeting via live or via YouTube as we stream live. The links published on the agenda. Public comment may be made via email and will be entered in or read into the meeting minutes of less than 3 minutes by email and comments. And of course, it gives my email address. The deadline for the written comment is to be 1 p.m. prior to the workday. So based on the conversation y'all had, you may want to amend the resolution and make changes to that section based on those, because that was stuff that was actually modified during the time of COVID when all of the online meetings were happening. So other than that, I would stand for any questions, as it's the standard Open Meetings Act required resolution.
Yes, because I would like to state that on that one also, it said that all public comments that are to be read are to be emailed to Miss Hamilton at ahamilton@rooseveltcounty.com, and the deadline is to be received by 1 p.m. the prior workday. Well, she did not get the email that was read in the last meeting because I requested it from her, a copy of the email, and she never even received the email. So it was just read in open meeting without even going through that channel. So we either need to omit that or we need to stand behind what we put in writing, because it can't just be for the commission and not for the public. So it's not for one and not for all. So we need to decide what we want to do with that.
So my question is on that, why was it even brought forth if it didn't follow protocol to begin with that day?
Because I didn't know protocol, I guess.
How long have you been a commissioner?
Well, I never received a request to read one. Like
But
it
you
was.
signed this resolution.
So, but doesn't that fall on your county manager making sure that you know what protocol is, that she ought to know, that she should have stood up and says, hey, we can't do this?
Well, this is my fault. I did wrong. I'll take it.
And that's why I stated earlier that I did wrong as well, because I didn't even have any knowledge that under public input that I could, under my commission agenda item, I could have addressed it like y'all did. I thought Commissioner Dixon and Creswell were doing something inappropriate by addressing something in public input. But I'm finding out that anything spoken about in public input can be spoken about under our commission agenda item, because I've been scrutinized probably 100 times as a commissioner for a lot of different reasons. And I would have loved to have had my rebuttal, because you guys know how I am. I talk pretty much and I like to back myself up, but I never knew that. You know, I got scrutinized in the last couple of months with this whole voting thing. And if I would have known I could have done a rebuttal, my God, I would have. But so I'm at fault as well with the whole protocol thing. And I've been a commissioner on and off since 2000. So it was just an honest mistake on my part.
But it also states in our ordinances and resolutions that it is the manager's job to enforce the compliance with the resolutions and ordinances as well. So it should have been caught several different directions.
It shouldn't have all been put on Paul. That's all I'm saying.
So what do we want to do with that particular part? It says all members of the public will be able to attend and listen to the meeting live via YouTube at the link published on the agenda. Public comments may be made via email and will be entered in or read into the meeting if less than 3 minutes, not 4, by emailing comments to ahamilton@rooseveltcounty.com. The deadline for written public comments to be received is 1 p.m. the workday prior to the meeting. Emailed public comment must contain the author's name and physical address. So do we want to leave it like that and enforce that, or do we want to change that?
I think, my opinion is leave it like that. What happened was unfortunate. We've discussed it. Seems to be some sort of an agreement as far as I'm concerned that it could have been handled differently. It wasn't. Write it off as a mistake and move forward and try to do what's right.
I agree.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Okay, and then on section 13, it says the prior open meeting resolution 2023-01 adopted on the 10th day of January 2032 is here repealed and replaced. So we have a typo right there we need to fix.
Okay.
And,
When you get done, I'll make another comment.
okay, go ahead.
Trying to find that thing on here.
While you try to find that, also on item C, telephone conferences. Or no, what is it? That's not item C. I don't know if it's in that one or this one. Let me look. Yes. When we talk about, but when we can appear telephonically or virtually, it just says that the Board of County Commissioners have previously authorized telephonic or virtual appearance for one or more commissioners at a meeting of Roosevelt County Board of Commissioners. I like the way we have that, they have to state their name for the record. If they're leaving, they have to state. If they re-enter, they do. But I don't think we would want to have more than 2 commissioners at a time do it telephonically or virtually since we're not in COVID. I mean, I think we did this back when COVID was going on and we all did it, but I don't think it would be. And it also states in the Attorney General's thing on telephone conferences, it says, even where attendance by telephone is allowed, it would defeat the purpose if Open Meetings Act, if this were done by a large number of board members. That is why the legislature provided the participation by telephone conference may occur only when difficult or impossible. Thus, in all cases where possible, that we should attend. So I don't think we just need to do it willy-nilly because it's a little bit inconvenient, but I think we need to use discretion when we do it telephonically or virtually.
And I think for as long as there's a quorum, and I think it should be a moot issue. I mean, and then the discretion of the chair, if you want to allow that 4th person and or the 4th and 5th commissioner. But if there's a quorum, I mean, present in person, I know for a lot of different situations, I've had to be on Zoom and or phone, but it was very circumstantial, so, I mean.
What section are you on there?
On there, that is on the page before that.
What?
The one page before it was on section 11, the second paragraph.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
under section 2, I think section 2 just we need to amend that or whatever. It says 2 regular meetings shall be held on the 1st and 3rd Tuesday of each month. I know some months we don't do that, so we need to fix that as well.
Unless a legal holiday or election day or other conflict
Other
of
conflict
interest. Yeah.
interferes.
But we need to change that. You are correct. The first and third hour of 9 a.m. for however we want to need to word that, Amber. because we need it 9 a.m. and 6 p.m.
Madam Chairman, while they're discussing that, on section 11 there.
Mhm.
We've got, there's one portion in there where there's a repeat of some words. When it's talking about the Open Meetings Act. When you come out of the Open Meetings Act, down there in that first paragraph on section 11, we got two. It says we got a few, well, excuse me, it says, we're limited to those specified in the motion for closure. Got in there about twice. I think we did need to, when we retype it, we need to leave out one of those. It says the same thing twice.
Okay.
Is that-
Yeah. Motion to close such. Oh, yep, you're right. Okay.
We know what it means. It's just typographic
Right.
typo.
Okay, and then in section, Ms. Hamilton and Mr. Garcia, in section 7, about, section 11, about the 6th line down, the 6th and 7th line are repetitive.
Which lines?
6th and 7th, I believe.
Oh, it does look like a phrase kind of repeats itself.
Mm-hmm.
So how does this read? Starting at the Board of County Commissioners of Roosevelt County, New Mexico shall direct by motion that the minutes reflect no decisions were made and that the matters discussed in the closed meeting were limited to those specified in the meeting to close such meeting. In the motion, yeah.
Is that good with you?
That's a long sentence. It's all one sentence, the whole paragraph.
It'll be shorter now.
Yeah. Let me look at this just a little bit closer.
Well, madam, I just moved to lay this on the table to the next meeting.
Okay.
Make the motion, lay this on the table to the next meeting.
Okay.
I'll second.
I got a motion in a second to table item 10A. Roy Lee?
Yes.
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 Motion carries. Moving on. Item 10B, consideration of resolution 2024-02, public participation in the Roosevelt County Commission meetings. Ms. Hamilton.
Yes, Madam Chair, Commissioners, this too was included in your packet. There were no changes to this one from the one that was adopted last year. I would stand for any questions asked for consideration.
I had it here somewhere.
Madam,
Yes.
again, we have this resolution here that was passed in 2023 that wasn't followed again. If we're going to have all these resolutions, we need to have somebody to at least police them, know what they are and police them. Again, this one was broke at the last meeting, and under section 1, it says speakers may discuss any subject during the public comment, except that comments may not be argumentative, or may the speaker exhibit disruptive behavior or make personal attacks upon the commissioners, county staff, or a member of public. Again, here's another one that was broke. It should have been caught. Right here is the first two resolutions that I voted on coming into this position last January that I thought was in good faith. Here we are almost a year later and it got broke. And like I say, we need to have somebody to police these resolutions. And again, I thought that was the manager's job to police the resolutions and to tell us when things are out of line according to the resolutions that we have forth. And that was not the case at the last meeting. I know y'all think I'm beating a dead horse. He might get up here in a minute. But anyway, so my thoughts are, ma'am, if we ain't going to police them or follow them, let's just do away with them.
Madam Chairman,
Yes.
I realize we all have different opinion on a lot of things, and like give my opinion, I hope I'm not offensive. But I disagree with Mr. Criswell in terms of whose responsibility is to police these. It's our responsibility to police these. So we made a mistake. I made a mistake.
Speak.
This is our deal. It's our responsibility. Now, when that president makes a decision, he's making a decision which he thinks is best for us. But each and every one of us have a right to appeal that decision. A good president welcomes an appeal from the group because he's leading for the benefit of the group. And if they disagree with him, they have a right to appeal that decision. And with a majority vote, you can reverse that decision. We had the opportunity, each and every one of us had the opportunity to appeal from the decision of the chair. That thing took us all by surprise, and we were kind of shocked. And we didn't do that. But it's not the county manager's job to participate in the meeting. We can ask her for advice, but she can't rise to a point of order. She can't appeal. This is our deal and our responsibility. We all dropped the ball on that.
Madam
So
Chair.
I'm in favor of leaving it like that is, and we continue to do our best to do what's right. But I think we all dropped the ball.
Yes.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Savage.
Yes.
We didn't all drop the ball. There was 2 people in this room that had read that letter before it was being read in that meeting. That's where we didn't drop the ball. That letter was not opened up in a sealed envelope right here with Mr. Grider. It was an open letter laid out on the table in big enough font that Tina could read it. And that's the whole discussion over this ethics deal. I want to encourage that. But when you're saying that we were all at fault, you're wrong, because there was 2 of them in this meeting room that had already read that. So it wasn't all 4 of us' fault. or 5 of us' fault?
So there wasn't two, there's no one except me that had read that letter until it was read. So you're very wrong.
So you're saying to me that it was just given to you,
It wasn't given to me.
it was mailed to you?
Yes.
Okay, then why wasn't it open in front of us? That way we'd all have the same thoughts.
I told you, I
Just like
made a
that.
mistake, but there was not two of anybody.
Well, that's
read
kind
it.
of like the hearsay of I said, she said, he said, that was got us in this predicament right now.
Well, I
And that's
didn't
the
know.
kind of stuff that we need to get a hand,
Yeah.
Okay.
we need to get
I agree,
control of and
Commissioner
be a part
Criswell.
of the solution right here.
I agree, but I'm going to agree with Commissioner Savage as well. Like I said, I stand corrected. I'm the one that told my recommendation, like I stated earlier, and I'm 100% accountable. Hindsight's 2020, but I wish I would have read the letter myself. I would have been more informed. But I agree with Commissioner Savage. We've worked really, in the most part, worked really well as a team. And this was an honest mistake, and it was an oversight, and we've got to learn from it and move on. It's bottom line. And I know it's hurtful. I know I've been there, done that. I've been there. I've been scrutinized. Yeah, I've taken things personal when I'm not supposed to. I wasn't born and raised to take things personal when I'm in a position like this. But I know it's hurtful, but we've got to learn from this bad situation that occurred.
And I would like to say that I agree a little bit with everybody, but I can tell you, I think where Mr. Criswell comes from, according to the ethics ordinance, which started this whole mess, it states in there, the manager's job is to enforce the ordinances and resolutions. So with that being said, who knows what the heck that means? And I can tell you that if you had received that letter and it would have been about anybody other than me or him, you would not have read that. If it had been about her, or it would have been about Carol, or it would have been about somebody like that, there ain't no way, because you didn't open that right here and you didn't read it right there. You didn't just read it for the first time. You can say anything you want because I don't care. And I don't care that everybody heard what the letter says. I don't like the way you went about it at all. I think you were disrespectful and you were rude. Now, with that being said, if there's no further discussion, we are on consideration of resolution 2024-02, public participation in the Roosevelt County Commission meetings. Would you like to amend or change the resolution? What do you guys want to do?
I'm perfectly happy. I move that we pass the motion, just submit it, pass it as that down.
Okay, I've got a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, I got a motion and a second. Commissioner Criswell?
No.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Moving on, consideration of resolution 2024-03, delegation of authority to the county manager for distribution of vendor checks.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, so this again is a standard resolution so that we can get the bills out the door. It was included in your packet. I would stand for any questions.
Madam Chair, I move to approve agenda item 10C as presented by our county manager.
I have a
Melody.
motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Mr. Lopez?
Yes.
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 Moving on. Item 10D, consideration of resolution 2024-04, delegation of authority to the county manager to enter into certain contracts and settlement agreements.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, again, no changes to this one. It's the same as what you had adopted in 2023, just for the certain contracts. All new contracts, again, come before the commission. And any renewals under 60,000 are authorized, settlements under 10. No changes on that one. So I would stand for any questions.
I move to approve agenda item 10D as presented by our county manager.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Everybody good?
Madam, I'd like to, Ms. Hamilton, the 60,000 renew contracts for amount of 60,000 and the 10,000 for the legal settlements. With that amount, can you give us an example of why it would need to be at 60,000 for you to renew contracts for that much without us knowing about them?
So those are all contracts that come before the commission, and when y'all approve them, they have the ability, they all follow the state and local procurement contract, and 60,000 is a threshold that's set through state statute. So anything that renews underneath 60,000 is allowed. Anything over 60,000 goes through the bid process in terms of how you procure all of those. When you approve the original contract, they have the renewal agreements in there as far as if they're performing services up to standards and as required by the county, they can be renewed for up to 4 years or 10 years, depending on the state statute requirements as trained through the procurement code. Those issues, it is things such as the any type of renewal agreement. Securus Technologies is one over at the detention center for different software needs or things like that. So you approve it initially, and then we have four consecutive years total. So those 3 years would be there. This has just been established. This was something that Michael Steininger helped develop when he was here with Department of Finance and Administration all those years ago as part of the best practices. And then legal settlements of 10,000 or less when there are certain things that we enter into in terms of any type of settlement. If it's a nuisance claim and it's something that's settled for $4,000 or something along those lines, those would be what would fall under there. There hasn't been one to my knowledge this year that I can recall, but everything else is briefed. Y'all are made aware of those in executive session before those are entered into. And in reality, the New Mexico County's Insurance Authority, actually, the adjuster handles those per se. But this is all a format that the Department of Finance helped laid out for the county, and it follows state procurement code.
So it is state statute to give our county manager authority to do anything under 60,000.
No, what I
Because that's, you know, and I don't like to say, when we did all this last year or this a year ago, I've kind of read through them and all stuff. But anyway, right, you know, to me, this says the authority to renew contracts. This gives you the authority to renew contracts or amounts less than 60,000 for procurement, personal or tangible personal property or services, construction, or anything. And then over the 60,000, that you'd have to come before the board on. Is that how I'm reading? Is that?
Yes, but to clarify, I didn't communicate that it was in statute to allow the county manager. In statute, it gives the 60,000. That's the threshold. So there's a procurement code that dictates how all of that procurement comes in. Each county decides what authority you want to grant the county manager. So that's at your discretion. If y'all want to see every agreement, every renewal and such, the issue, of course, is just ensuring that those come with enough time for the renewal. There are a schedule of contracts, and we maintain dozens of contracts for various services. So for the ease of the board and the operations of the county from day to day, those are things that are within the scope. So if it's the pleasure of the board and the board wants to see every contract renewal, then that's terms that y'all can set. This is just best practice recommendations.
Madam Chair, I've got some to add to that. The whole purpose of this, and there is the 60,000 threshold. Sometimes, a lot of times, there's deadlines, there's sunsets. We've determined, instead of everything coming to the Board of Commission, we determined that amount because, like County Manager stated, there's dozens and dozens coming before us, and some things need to be expedited. So usually, correct me if I'm wrong, but if it's not happening, I would hope that it had been happening. The chairperson always has knowledge of all these contracts anyway, right? Before they're signed off on. I mean, it's on behalf of the Board of Commission.
No, it's the procurement officer. So the
Okay.
procurement officer is the one that's certified and responsible for managing the contracts.
Okay. Yeah, but I remember, if memory serves me right, it was because there's so many sunsets and deadlines. And of course, ultimately, it was cost effective for the county to have it this way, to have this type of protocol.
Do we have multiple contracts or things that would need that are up to 60,000? Do we even?
There are some. I can't give you an exact number. I wasn't prepared for that question. I can look it up and share. But Ms. Rivera manages the contracts on those. So there are a variety of different. We just follow state statute in setting those parameters. There are some other counties that have much higher authorities. We did not choose to follow that at this point. We kept it aligned with the code.
Thank you.
Madam Chair. And this is also giving you the authority to settle legal settlements for less than 10,000? Would, even that, have you ever had to do that or?
Only when the board has authorized such. So if there is a claim that we were processing, it's discussed in executive session and then the authority is given for those settlements.
But the way I'm reading this is here that you wouldn't have to go to executive session and tell us about it, that you have the right to go ahead and pay somebody $9,999 if you to settle a claim. Is that not how I'm supposed to read that?
So that's not the practice. So the way it's written is to enter into legal agreements for that amount or less in the event that those come up, but those are all discussed through executive session.
Any more discussion? I've got a motion and a second. Roy Lee?
Yes.
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 Motion carries. Moving on to 11A, contracts, agreement, and procurements. A, request for approval of FY25 EMS Fund Act application for Arch Volunteer Fire Department. Ms. Weems?
And Commissioners, I bring this request to you for your consideration and approval. This is the annual renewal for FY 2025 for the Arch Volunteer Fire Department funding.
I move to approve 11A as presented.
Second.
I got a motion and a second for approval of 11A. Roy Lee?
Yes.
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 Motion
you.
carries. Moving on, 11B, request for approval of food service agreement as per the statewide price agreement, SPA with Summit Food LLC at the Roosevelt County Detention Center. Ms. Hamilton.
Yes, so included in your packet was the food service agreement that they set forth that is in addition to the one that y'all adopted in December. And this outlines as per the statewide price agreement that we're utilizing. They are providing services over at the detention center, and they had some additional legal language that they wanted to have included. This has been reviewed by the county attorney administration, and we're asking for your approval.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve
So
11B?
moved, Madam Chair.
Second.
I got a motion and a second for 11B. Dennis?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Motion carries. Moving on to item 11C, consideration and request of approval to memorandum of agreement of local growth management committee. Ms. Hamilton.
Yes, so Madam Chair, Commissioners, included in your packet, as we discussed a bit earlier, is the second amendment to the memorandum of agreement. I had the opportunity to meet with the Curry County Manager, City County Manager, and Assistant City Manager, and they are really looking at how they can better utilize the local growth management committee. As Commissioner Lopez shared, it was something that was very active in years past, and then it kind of came to a point where it hasn't been as much. And so this is very much the focus to well, rather to refocus for Armed Forces Support Committee. Y'all had the amendment included in your packet. So you can see the focus is very much on the Department of the Defense and Economic Development and all the things that come around that: education, equity, inclusion, health and social services, housing, land use, public safety, quality of life, and transportation, in regard specifically to the base. So I would stand for any questions, and
Move we approve 11C.
I'll second. Dennis?
Yes.
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 Motion carries. Media? Nope. We are
Young
adjourned.
lady that was here, she media now.
Mhm.
What was her name?
Zoe? Zoe. Asked her name. It was Zoe.
We can all hug. We can all hug. Since we've been to